Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, as voted on by my subscribers, we're talking about the Slender-Man. I'm really glad this topic was picked because it's a really good starting point when getting into the world of creepypastas, whether old or new. Whilst it's not the first, that title goes to Ted the Caver. The Slender-Man absolutely cements itself as one of the most popular horror figures in recent memory. A lot of big horror figures that came years after took a lot of clear inspiration from Slender. Like, look at Siren Head and tell me that they don't have a lot of similarities. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. We didn't want to go. We didn't want to kill them. But its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time. The Slender-Man originates from the Something Awful forums in June of 2009. Users were tasked with creating paranormal images. Whilst a lot of users gave their best try, the Slender-Man was far and away the winner of the contest. And it's not hard to see why. The images created for the forum are, even to this day, really well made. The Slender-Man himself was created by user Knudsen, who used the alias Victor Surge when creating the character. During its creation, he took inspiration from a range of horror media: Resident Evil, Silent Hill, H.P. Lovecraft, The Insidious Beasts, and a whole lot more. And it was in no time at all when the Slender-Man blew up in popularity, spawning cosplays, fan art, web series, games, and references in pop culture, as well as a mediocre movie. You know you've made it when you can say a group of businessmen failed to understand your character.
20 likes and I'll cover the fucking movie.
You're really gonna make me explain what the Slender-Man looks like? Just fucking Google it. Fine. The Slender-Man is a tall, slender figure. Now, you're never gonna guess that, are you? But the Slender-Man has no face. Colour me impressed. It's one of his most defining features, and in all honesty, it's just lost its fear on me, which is a real shame because the idea is genuinely unnerving. Take a man, give him a suit, remove his face. But at the time, there is a reason to why it's one of its most remarkable features. It's what made the backroom so scary for people like me, at least from the start. It's not something that you can explain. It's not something you're able to emote with. It's just a creature with no clear emotions. And even calling it a creature would imply that it's below you. The Slender-Man is above you. It's just an entity that you cannot even comprehend. It's what made creatures like the Daleks scary. You can't relate to them in any way. And that's truly
spooky.
Whilst we're more aware of his latter mythos, he had some differences and similarities from what he is like these days. At this time, Slender-Man is around 6 feet tall, infects you with an illness, and maybe even makes you into a proxy. This was not the case with him at the beginning. At the start, Slender-Man was 14 feet and would stalk his victims for a very long time before impaling them on trees.
Jesus!
This was changed a lot with his growing popularity, especially with children, who probably thought it was a bit too dark. He still stalks his victims, however he infects them with Slender Sickness. Ooh! No, that's not a joke name I came up with in vain to boost my self-esteem. That's its real name. The proxies actually originate from Marble Hornets, a series that started as soon as the Slender trend started gaining traction, and has influenced the lore of the Slender-Man. For example, the reason Slender isn't 6 feet tall is because how the hell do a group of students with no budget make a 14-foot tall monster on YouTube in 2009? Fuck you! So, he was made 6 foot tall, just to make him marginally, doable, in real life. And as the series blew up, this version of the Slender-Man became what the Slender-Man is known as in the public consciousness, to the point where the original Slender-Man game from 2012, yeah, that's actually based on Marble Hornets. And there you have it, that's a fun fact with Kyle. Hey folks, this bit's pretty dark, so if you want to skip over, I recommend doing that. It involves, murder and real life stuff, and I think can be a bit hard to hear, so if you want to skip over, there's timestamps in the description. Yeah. On May 19th, a cyclist was driving down a roadway near a forest when at that moment, a 12-year-old girl was crawling out of a forest in an attempt to get help. She had just been stabbed 19 times. She was hospitalized, but luckily managed to survive the altercation. She had been stabbed by 2 other 12-year-old girls in her class. When the 2 were questioned, they said that it was to appease the Slender-Man as a first step to becoming a proxy for him. Both attackers were diagnosed with mental illness. I'm not going to sugarcoat this with jokes. What happened is awful and my heart goes out to all the families involved. But this should serve as a warning on why not to leave your children loose on the internet. A lot of news media tried to blame it on the Slender-Man. Yeah, the fictional character. But to be completely frank, it's not Victor Surge's job to take care of your fucking children. It is the parents' job, and if they fail to do so, then why is a fictional character being held accountable for the results of bad parenting on the behalf of the parents? What wouldn't help matters would be that there would be more events that came out after all this, all being blamed on the Slender-Man. The not even real character! Later that year, a 14-year-old would set her house on fire with her mother and younger brother inside, and this would also be blamed on the fictional character of the Slender-Man. I hope they can all rest in peace. These days, the Slender-Man is not really talked about much, at least not to the same extent as it once was. With its time in the limelight, it's safe to say that it spawned a lot of popularity, which can still be felt today. For example, the Enderman, one of Minecraft's scariest mobs. Yeah, that's a reference to the Slender-Man. These days, Slender-Man is just seen as another creepypasta, but these internet campfire stories are ones that are at least fun to discuss, and there are plenty of videos discussing stories about these fictitious monsters released to this very day. For example, this exact video. This is a sort of fun fact I found whilst researching this video that I thought was really amusing. But 5 months after the Slender-Man's creation, the late night talk show Coast to Coast AM was flooded with calls about the Slender-Man. It really proves my point that I was mentioning earlier. It definitely shows that bad apples can definitely ruin the bunch on this occasion, and I hope this video has at least inspired you to look at the Slender-Man in a more positive light. If you enjoyed this video, why not like, subscribe, and check out some of my other stuff. I upload sometimes. And until next time, thanks for watching. Kyle out.